see here. I'll give you a little okie dokie. Stand by.
Where can you listen to internationally acclaimed musicians play top 40 music from the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st century? Well, here you can do that right here in St. Louis. And more about that on St. Louis in Tune. Greetings and welcome to St. Louis in Tune, and thank you for joining us for fresh perspectives on issues and events with experts, community leaders, and everyday people who are driving change and making an impact that shapes our society and world. I'm Arnold Stricker with co-host Mark Langston.
Which one of us is the host with the most?
It depends upon the most what.
Uh-oh, yeah, we probably shouldn't go there. Okay, it's a family show. Okay.
What's going on, Mark?
Not much. I know this. We're taping this in the summertime.
Yes.
Well, it's not quite officially the summer yet.
No, but it feels like it.
My goodness, I know. They said today that the normal high is like 74. And what's it going to be today?
It's going to be 89 today.
How can you look at your watch and get that? I don't get
that
either.
The magnificence of technology.
Okay, 89. Yeah. 20 degrees.
Hot town, summer in the city.
Mm-hmm. Back in my
I should have played that, got
gritty.
that song ready.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Yeah. Or played Summertime, Porgy and Bess.
Oh my.
That'd be a good one.
All right.
Our return to civility.
Mm.
Try to pronounce names correctly. Apologize if you mispronounce a name and make a point of learning how to pronounce it correctly for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I know sometimes when people want to goat other people,
Mm-hmm.
they will specifically,
Mm-hmm.
they will intentionally
Mm-hmm.
mispronounce a name.
I do that all the time.
When you want to goat somebody, you pronounce their
I don't
name
know about that.
incorrectly?
Yeah, like Michael, my son, his girlfriend is Angela. I call her Angeletta.
Well, that's probably a derivative in another language.
Could
Of
be. Yeah.
Angela.
Angeletta. I don't know. I can't call her Angela. I know. And Eliana, I call her Elianta.
Do you have a speech impediment?
No, I don't. And I check under the hood of my car before I start it after I do that stuff. I never know when they're going to blow my
Are you
car
smoking
up.
too much carbon monoxide or something?
Something like that. I know. You're right. One of our guests, when we introduced this morning, I apologized before I even tried to attempt to
I
say
know
her
you
name.
did. And when she came in, I wanted to make sure that I was pronouncing it correctly too.
Yes.
So it's
a bit of a tongue twister.
Let's pronounce names correctly as Return to Civility. In studio, we have Nina Ferrigno. She's executive director of Festival and a pianist and founding member of the Boston-based Calyx Piano Trio. She's the director of the important thing that's going to be coming on the Missouri Chamber Festival.
Oh.
And also Benedetta Orsi. She's going to be featured in the program. She's an Italian mezzo-soprano. And I've got a little bit more details about these folks because at the start of the show, I said, internationally acclaimed musicians. Both these ladies are internationally acclaimed.
Mm.
And they do play top 40 from the 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st century. Nina is, again, a founding member of the Boston-based Calyx Piano Trio. She's been featured soloist with ensembles like the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, Boston Pops, Boston Modern Orchestra Project, the Chicago Symphony, and her festival appearances include Tanglewood, Carolina Chamber Music Festival, and the Missouri Chamber Music Festival. She graduated from the New England Conservatory of Music, and she is on the teaching faculty of Washington University and Webster University here in St. Louis. And then Italian mezzo-soprano Benedetta Orsi, who you can hear in the background, is now a resident in the United States and lives here in St. Louis. She's been praised as having the, quote, perfect voice for bel canto, unquote. She received the Paul Harris Fellow Award in Rome as one of the 14th most influential Italian excellences and the only woman to spread the Italian culture and art abroad. I'm going to ask her more about that, kind of define that. She has a recording artist also, Mark.
Right.
Latest album, Incanto, a collection of Italian arias and art songs produced for the international Swiss label BAM Music. I'm just going to call it BAM Music.
Mm-hmm.
Been nominated at the Grammy Recording Academy and the Global Music Awards as Best Album, Best New Release, and Best Female Artist. Bachelor's and master's degree in voice and music. She's appeared at Carnegie Hall throughout Italy, Austria, England, France, United States, and Spain. I bet her passport is stacked with stamps. And she's the first prize winner of the Barry Alexander International Voice Competition. More and more, both these ladies just have an incredible pedigree. And Nina's been with us 3 times before. Welcome back, Nina.
Thanks for having me, Arnold.
And Benedetta, how do you say welcome in Italian?
Benvenuta.
Benvenuta. Yes,
Thank you
benvenuta.
so much for having me.
It's great to have you here. Well, my gosh, I need to get my questions here in order.
Aren't there a lot of them? You've got to have. Should we make it clear though that that Nina is not related to?
Oh gosh, she probably hears that.
I
All
know
the time.
she's already rolling her eyes at me. Going on again.
The
Not related.
14
Lou Ferrigno, is that who it was? I don't even
Yes,
remember the
Lou
guy.
Ferrigno.
Okay, no relation.
No, not that I know of, although it's a Sicilian name. And I think
Ooh.
probably if we traced our family trees back to Tusa, that we probably have some people in common.
So we have probably we have an Italian, what we would call immigrant.
Correct.
Okay, and we have someone with Italian heritage.
Okay, very good.
What more could you ask
And
for
I
the Missouri Chamber
apologize.
Music
I know.
Festival, which starts its 14th season?
Wow.
Game Changers. And what did these Game Changers do, and who were they? I know you have this music of our surroundings. Talk about that,
Yes.
Nina.
Thanks. Yes. So in coming up with the programs for this 14th season of Missouri Chamber Music Festival, I was really inspired by musical works that had a profound emotional impact and that I felt was really relevant to what people are experiencing today, and also those pieces that sort of changed everything for and sometimes accidentally, like in the case of Robert Schumann and his piano quintet. He was the first one to sort of think, I'm going to take a piano and stick it with this incredible, ensemble of 4 string players. And it just became the ensemble of the Romantic era of chamber music. So the quintet is just like an innovative compositional form now in that way. And also I was thinking of Arnold Schoenberg and his, really trying to push the where composition was going. And, we've gotten into the late Romantics, all harmony was getting more and more chromatic or closer together. And he just started to push against that. So going with what we call atonality, like not really being in a key. And for him, then that went into really devising this very modernist German expressionism. So that's sort of what I was thinking about that. And with the music of our surroundings, we have this world premiere of a piece written for piano trio and apartment by the French composer Florent Gis. And that piece is called Huis Clos. And it's really all about how we make order out of our surroundings. How do we find music in noise, or these things? We live in a very noisy time,
Right, we do.
and there are other pieces on the festival that are kind of dealing with the same thing. Caroline Shaw wrote a piece called Thousandth Orange, which we're playing, and she is really thinking about this: how do we elevate these kind of ordinary objects? And she's drawing a connection between still life painting and of bowls of fruit, or a vase of flowers, and how whether it's the first time you're seeing it and trying to interpret it, or whether it's the 1000th time, that there's beauty there. So
is this kind of the first approach into this, or you've done some of these pieces, not these particular pieces,
Mm-hmm.
but the kind of style in previous seasons?
Yes, well, we're a big thrust of the festival is drawing these connections. It's what motivates and inspires me as a pianist and musician to, I have to be drawn in, in order to then spend so much time with pieces, or to this idea of producing them. And I have a background in contemporary music, so it's important for me to also kind of show a continuum in our art form, because people who are writing pieces today, whether it's Florent, who's a video artist as well, so a lot of his sampled apartment sounds you'll be able to see. He creates rhythm and pitch melodies out of his art there, or he didn't just drop down from above and decide this is he's influenced by all of the classical music canon that comes before. And so I find that fascinating.
I think some people maybe have this opinion that what I would call, how do I say this in a nice, polite way? Not for you guys. Atonal music, like Schoenberg, or even modern, quote unquote, modern music. Some people may think that, well, they're just kind of sitting down and hacking something out on the piano, or, making it up as they go along.
That's what I thought.
But you're a hack, Mark.
Oh, Mark.
It's very similar to artists who, you think of Jackson Pollock, and, he's just throwing paint on the canvas.
Right.
But Jackson Pollock could paint something that looked like it was painted back in the Renaissance if he wanted to.
Wow.
Right.
And these composers can probably do the same thing. You learn the rules. I learned this. You got to learn the rules before you break them, and you need to know and have a good understanding before you can move on and just kind of do your own thing. And I want people who are listening and who go to the concerts to know that, they're just not sitting down and, I got I sampled my faucet dripping over here, and then the toilet flushing, and then the radiator rattling, and they're just making stuff up as they go along.
Have you seen the piece?
Am I close? Wow. Okay. Well,
You got a sneak preview somehow.
I snuck into one of the rehearsals. So I want to give folks a little bit. Thursday, June the 6th, and we're going to come back to this. June the 10th, June the 13th, June the 19th, June the 21st, and you can get tickets at Eventbrite. But we'll come back to that. Benedetta, how did you get your start? I know you've done a lot of sacred music. You've done some recitals, and then you kind of sprung into opera. And Mark, believe it or not, she sang at Fashion Week in New York City.
Whoa.
This is unbelievable, and they're right here on our show.
Yeah.
I know. This is
We're
amazing.
honored.
Oh yeah,
You're welcome.
Totally
You're very
honored.
welcome.
Thank you, Nina.
The
Yeah.
pleasure is all mine.
How'd you get your start singing? Because it was actually rather late, wasn't it?
It was, I started singing in my own country when I started studying opera and classical music when I was 18 years old. Before I was doing Broadway shows and more pop music.
Okay.
I always loved music. When I was 4 years old, I was just going in front of my mom's mirror, and I just was grabbing a brush and singing like a crazy, stealing her heels and dresses. And I started just singing pop music and Broadway. And my own music teacher in Italy told me, well, I think you should approach opera. And I was like, oh, no, I don't like that. I truly don't like that. And my mom said, well, come with me. I'm going to bring you to a theater, to a very important theater. I didn't know anything. So she brought me to La Scala to see Traviata conducted by Muti, Maestro Muti.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, can I do this? Can I really do this? So I was crying, and then we found my teacher in Italy, but I was 18. Yes, I started a little bit late, and I wasn't very lucky in my own country. So I started just doing a lot of sacred music and recitals, but wasn't able to really put a foot on stage and doing opera. My first opera was in England.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in Manchester and London and Bologna by Donizetti. So something also that it wasn't, I mean, so usual to hear.
Mhm.
And then a manager heard me during a concert in Italy, and he is an American manager, and he told me, "Why don't you come to the States to do some master classes with Marilyn horn pianist Fred Karama?" And I said, "Well, I'm gonna ask my parents." And they have always been super supportive. So
Oh.
I approached the States that I was 22 years old, and then I stayed.
Wow. You were in New York City for 5 or 6 years?
I was in New York City for 9 years.
9 years.
Yeah, and then I moved to St. Louis in 2017.
And you've done many performances at Opera Theater St. Louis. Matter of fact, you were
Winter Opera.
Yeah, you were the adjunct voice professor at University of Missouri St. Louis
Yes.
for a while.
Wow.
You were the chorus master of Winter Opera St. Louis. You're
Mhm.
the president, and I can't read my writing. That's pretty bad.
Of the St. Louis Women's Chorale.
Of the St. Louis Women's Chorale, the lead mezzo soprano.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Wow, you just
So
kind of fell
accomplished.
into it, you know?
Yeah, and so you're young too. I mean, I don't want to ask how old
I'm
you are.
41. I
41?
don't mind saying it.
I know.
We won't tell you how
I
old
know.
we were.
No. But when I listened to we had the song on before we started. You have such a mature voice for what you do.
Yes.
It's years beyond your age.
Yes.
The way that you present the material. It's amazing to me.
Thank you.
How well
Thank
you-
you
yes.
so much.
I mean, it's almost, is it natural? Is it something that's you feel it's natural, or have you really worked on? Or-
So many years ago, I had to work on that because I was more focusing on actually what my voice was doing, and it was difficult to let the emotion come out. Then love happened. And when you kind of grow up and become a woman and you experiment what really love is, automatically you change also the way to approach music. And that was a huge change for me. I started really not focusing anymore on my voice, but what actually music was giving me, and I was trying then to express it and to pass it to the audience. So it's a different way of singing, a more natural and beautiful one, definitely.
I agree. I agree.
And easier also.
The interpretation is wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
really.
much.
I just jumped out at me
Yeah.
when I first heard you. I thought, this
Great
is not
point.
coming out of that young lady.
I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
And so people who think like, well, she just kind of gets up in the morning and sings, or Nina gets up in the morning and, just
Oh, yeah.
rambles on the piano like
Oh, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Tickles
there are
the iris.
challenges in the business, and you had a situation where you got some kind of less than favorable audition feedback,
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff can play with your mind. How did you deal with that?
So it was difficult. It was back in my own country. It was one of my first big auditions. And of course, I will not say the name, but this very famous soprano told me that it was better if I would go back home and just marry, have kids, and be a housewife. So I took 3 months of a break from singing. I was like, okay, she's a huge name. If she says this, I'm done. Okay, maybe I'm not good for this. And those were the 3 worst months of my entire life.
Oh wow.
I cannot exist without life. Without music. Sorry. And so I had to get back, and I was like, this is just one opinion. I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna study. I'm gonna practice more, and I'm gonna try to make it. And many years after, I did a concert back in my own country, and she was in the audience. And she came to me and she congratulated for the performance and everything. And I was like, I guess you don't remember about me. And she was like, no, did we met before? I was like, oh, yes, in my very first audition. And you told me to go back home and do the housewife. She was like, oh, really? Yes. And I was like, I'm so glad I didn't follow your
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm not a shy person, and I always say what I think. So
Good.
Well, I think you were very gracious to her,
Yeah.
because some
Oh,
people,
yes.
some musicians
Right.
would have just kind of told her off.
yeah, but I'm a lady, and
Right.
she's still an important lady. So I appreciated her comment, and actually she made me stronger.
That's
I can
true.
See that. I can see that.
What doesn't kill you make you stronger.
Oh
That's
yes.
right.
Oh
That
yes.
could be a
sounds like a
song.
song.
Yeah, I was like, write it, Nina.
It's Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. We're talking to Nina Ferrigno and Benedetta Orsi about an upcoming series of concerts. I guess that would be the best way to say that, wouldn't that, Nina?
Yes. So yes, it's the Missouri Chamber Music Festival, and what we mean by festival, I know it can often mean like music outside or
Mhm.
something, but we mean sort of compressed concerts. Like an immersion into several concerts of chamber music.
Let's talk about each one of those a little bit. You have 4 concerts, and at least that's kind of what I'm
Mhm.
seeing here. You have an entr'acte, then you have a Dream Machine, Morning Music, and Pierrot.
Mhm.
Would you kind of discuss a little bit? You don't have to go into great detail, but kind of give people a flavor of, I have where they're at in the times and everything like that.
Sure.
But what kind of music are we going to be listening to?
Sure.
And when is Benedetta going to be performing?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. Thank you for the opportunity. So I should start off by saying that we are partnering this year with the Mildred Lane Kemper Art Museum to have this final concert, the Pierrot concert, which is June 21st at 7 p.m. And that's a free event.
Hmm.
And ahead of the festival on June 6th at 6 p.m., we're having an opening reception that will have a little bit of talking. We call it the art, the music. So it's not only will I be talking about sort of giving a festival preview of the music that will be in the 4 concerts that follow, but the German Expressionism will be discussed. That's in the Kemper Art Collection. And Sabine Ekman, who is the head curator of that aspect of the museum, will be giving those remarks. And also Florent Gis, who I was mentioning, is the composer of the commissioned work that the Chamber Music Festival is premiering on that Saturday, June 21st. Final concert. So both of those events, the free events, are you need to register for them. There's no cost to attend, but we just need to know, for like fire code and all that.
Okay.
But yes, then the first festival concert is on Monday, June 10th, and we call it Entr'acte, which is actually the name of one of the pieces on the concert, which is a string quartet by Caroline Shaw. And Benedetta will be singing on this concert. I'll be playing with her, which is my great honor.
The honor is mine.
And we'll be doing 2 songs of Brahms. And there's also a violin sonata of Brahms and a string quartet of Haydn on that particular concert. Brahms was actually very influential on Arnold Schoenberg.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. And so, this late romanticism that Brahms' style, really those dense harmonies that we were talking about a little bit earlier. This is, Schoenberg, when he first started composing, was writing in that style. And it was just always a love of his. And actually he has a, what do you call it, arrangement of the Brahms piano quartet, opus 25, an orchestral arrangement, which is really a wonderful thing. If you ever see that programmed, you should run and hear your orchestra.
Run and listen to it.
Right. And then the second concert of the festival is on June 13th at 7 p.m. And we call this one Dream Machine. This is a concert of mainly piano quintets. So we were mentioning earlier the influence of the Schumann piano quintet, and that piece is going to be done on this concert, as is the Gabriella Lena Frank piece called Ghosts in the Dream Machine. And so she was obviously influenced by this instrumentation, Schumann's piano quintet, and you get a chance to hear what a contemporary living composer is how they're tackling the joys of that instrumentation, because it can be quite challenging. It's you have moments where it's almost an us versus them situation, because the piano, it's almost like orchestral, like a concerto experience, having the strings accompanying the piano. But then there are all those wonderful moments of pairings and conversation that can happen between all the instrumentalists. Then our third concert is on June 19th. It's Juneteenth, and it's a morning concert. This is something that we've always done. And it's usually, it's a shorter concert and quite, just a great way to go have lunch afterwards is by hearing some music. That particular concert will feature solo piano work of Arnold Schoenberg, trio for piano trio and electronics by Missy Mazzoli, and the Owl and the Pussycat, which is a song of Stravinsky, and a Beethoven string trio.
That's a really varied program.
It is. It's showing, again, I won't nerd out here, but a lot of cross.
No, that's not nerding out
a
at all.
lot of cross connections. Stravinsky. This was Stravinsky's last song that has actually his last completed work, I believe, and he's writing this song on the Edward Lear poem Owl and the Pussycat, but he's writing in a 12-tone row, which is, of course, what Schoenberg ended up innovating. And so there's those kinds of connections.
Now, hang on. We're going to come back. We'll get that last concert, talk a little bit more about that. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston of St. Louis in Tune. We will be right back. The United States has a strong tradition of welcoming newcomers and refugees. The Welcome Corps is a new service opportunity for Americans inspired to welcome those seeking freedom and safety, and in turn help strengthen their own communities. Welcome Corps is a public-private partnership that is inspired by what Americans represent to so many around the world, a beacon of hope and refuge. All it takes is a helping hand. Are you ready to learn more? Contact the International Institute of St. Louis at info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. That's info@iistl.org or call 314-773-9090. This is Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune on behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation. In 1857, the Dred Scott decision was a major legal event and catalyst that contributed to the Civil War. The decision declared that Dred Scott could not be free because he was not a citizen. The 14th Amendment, also called the Dred Scott Amendment, granted citizenship to all born or naturalized here in our country and was intended to overturn the U.S. Supreme Court decision on July 9, 1868. The Dred Scott Heritage Foundation is requesting a commemorative stamp to be issued from the U.S. Postal Service to recognize and remember the heritage of this amendment by issuing a stamp with the likeness of the man Dred Scott. But we need your support and the support of thousands of people who would like to see this happen. To achieve this goal, we ask you to download, sign, and share the one-page petition with others. To find the petition, please go to dredscottlives.org and click on the Dred Scott Petition Drive on the right side of the page. On behalf of the Dred Scott Heritage Foundation, this has been Arnold Stricker of St. Louis in Tune.
At St. Louis in Tune, we strive to bring you informative, useful, and reflective stories, as well as interviews about current and historic issues and events that involve people, places, and things. We cover a wide range of topics, such as the arts, crime, education, employment, faith, finance, food, health, history, housing, humor, justice, and sports, and that's just to name a few. While St. Louis in Tune originates from the Gateway City and covers local topics, we also connect to what's going on nationally as well. If you missed any of our previously aired programs of St. Louis in Tune, simply visit stlintune.com. That's stlintune.com. There you'll find the show notes and everything that was mentioned in that episode and all the other great episodes as well. And if you've got an area that you'd like us to examine deeper, well, just let us know by dropping us a note at stlintune@gmail.com. That's stlintune@gmail.com. St. Louis in Tune. It's heard Monday through Friday on the USRadioNetwork.com and many great radio stations around the U.S. and, of course, right here in St. Louis. Our website again is stlintune.com. Visit us today. That's stlintune.com.
Welcome back to St. Louis in Tune. This is Arnold Stricker with Mark Langston and Nina Ferrigno and Benedetta Orsi, who you are listening to. Grazie.
Prego. Grazie a voi.
No comprendo.
And we're done.
I know prego is used a lot for a variety of answers, correct?
Yes. It's like you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
And like, I'm okay. And
Yeah. Exactly.
So we were talking, Mark, off air when the commercials were playing, things were going on, that I said, now, Benedetta, you're from Bologna. And she goes, yes. And I said, I love Bolognese. And you said,
we don't call it like that.
what do you call it?
Ragu. And we have different kinds of ragu. It's not only meat.
It's like, what? This burst my bubble in Bolognese.
Okay, really?
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
So before we left the break and came back to the
Little more
comedic show.
research next time.
Yes, I need to do that. Nino, you were talking about concert 3, and go back to that a little bit, because
Sure.
you talked about the 12-tone and what the imitation of the Schoenberg was going to be with one of the
Yes.
composers.
So on the festival this year, we're actually not doing any 12-tone music of Schoenberg, but it's impossible to think of Arnold Schoenberg without thinking of
Mhm.
where he ended up
Right.
with that. But on the concert are the Sechs Kleine Klavierstücke Opus 19 by Schoenberg, and there's 6 pieces that and very, very short, and each is really unique in character, and they're like, we often think of them as like a larger formed piece that's just distilled down to this little nugget. I mean, some of them just take seconds to play.
Oh, wow.
And I have here a quote from a letter that Schoenberg wrote in 1909, and he's talking about where he wants to go with music. And he says, my goal, complete liberation from form and symbols, cohesion and logic, away with motivic work, away with harmony as the cement of my architecture. Harmony is expression and nothing more. My music must be short, lean, in 2 notes, not built, but expressed.
Hmm.
And I guess that's the thing that I would love for people to realize, that, this music, which seems like it's going to go over your head and you have to think really hard about it, like, that wasn't at all what these composers wanted. I mean, they were just trying to get, I think, in some ways, stuff out of the way of just feeling what this music makes you feel. And definitely in the last concert with Pierrot Lunaire, which Schoenberg wrote, setting these poems by the same name, by Albert Giraud. And he thinks of them not as individual songs, but as individual melodramas. And in that piece, there's a soprano, but she doesn't sing. She does what is kind of a speech singing, a Sprechstimme. And that is, there's nothing more directly emotional than hearing the human voice. And as evidenced by the beautiful singing that we're hearing from Benedetta. And I think that this is even more bone chilling in a way, like it's even more direct because you're just getting these shapes in the voice. You're not getting specific pitches going to specific other pitches. So that's yeah. And then with us on back to that third concert with the Stravinsky, he's really experimenting with interpreting the Edward Lear poem. So for Stravinsky, the origins of the piece have to do with the rhythmic owl and the pussycat, like what rhythm forms when you're saying those words in English. And so that's where he goes off with that. But it is a 12, he said the rhythmic cell suggested a group of pitches, which expanded into a 12-tone series in correspondence to the shape of the poem. And the piano, it's very, very lean. So the piano is playing in octaves the whole time. And the voice, the rhythms are pretty, well, they're very written out, but they'll sound quite free. And it's, he writes that the piano is kind of serving as a double mirror to what's happening in the voice and how this goes along. And there's a whimsy in that piece that is really wonderful.
How much, both of your opinions on this, how much of what I would call contemporary music is a reaction to things that are going on politically, culturally around the world and pushing back at that or pushing it away, or with the expansion of, hey, let's try this because this hasn't been tried before? How much of that do you think is going on?
I think it's impossible to divorce oneself from life. And so I think every artist is expressing some aspect of their experience in the time that they're living. So I would say, I can't say that Beethoven was 90% politics and 10%, sad songs or something. But I just think that's probably a truism.
Yeah, definitely. Also, as a singer, the way you interpret a piece, it reflects something that you feel from the words, the lyric, and the music. So you really put your life into a piece depending in which moment you're living.
And that's, music is the most ephemeral of all the art forms, I think. And also it's, with the exception of, I don't know, it's like we all share time collectively when we're listening to a piece of music, particularly in live performance. So not, we could be sitting next to each other and not have the same experience listening to a piece. It could mean something different to you than it means to me, but we have also just shared this time together in, so it's, something that I'm quite interested in.
And how many of the composers are going to be at the performances?
Just Florent Gis. He'll be there to, he actually is going to help us with the tech stuff that's required for his piece, because we, the piano trio, so the Kalix piano trio will be premiering that work. We have to play with, in order to stay connected to the video, we need some tech in our ears, and he's going to be running some of the sound and all of that at the Kemper. And being on hand to answer questions and interact with people.
That would be very fascinating. It's kind of reminiscent of John Cage and, how several of his pieces and waiting for the audience reaction because that was part of the performance. And very interesting. Folks, if you have not been to any of the Missouri Chamber Music Festival concerts, you really need to go. And I want to read about it's their mission: educate, cultivate, promote, foster, sponsor, and develop and encourage understanding of and the public interest in classical chamber music. And I use the word classical in there in a sense that it's a chamber music style, and it's chamber music, small group, small performances, and they do bring in internationally recognized musicians. These are not people that are just off the street. These are folks who can make the hair stand up on the back of your neck because of their technique and because of their love for what they do. And I want to go back again to the concerts, and the tickets are on sale now. You can go to mochambermusic.org. That's mochambermusic.org. And you can get a festival pass.
Yes. So festival passes give you access to all concerts for a low price. And so they're still on sale. You can even purchase them at the first concert, for the remaining concerts of the series. If you are a festival pass holder and or a Kemper Museum membership holder and come to that opening reception, that also gives you a perk, gives you a free drink.
There you go. And I think it's 2 free drinks, right?
Yes. Is
Wow.
it? Maybe
Yeah.
it is.
I read that.
But
I was like, okay.
yeah, and someone will be on hand to sell you festival passes at that opening reception and also help you with your Kemper membership, which I also highly recommend. It's a wonderful collection.
Yeah, the places, again, the Mildred Lane Kemper Art Museum, that's for the June 6th. The First Congregational Church of Webster Groves, June 10th. The First Congregational Church of Webster Groves, June 13th. And the Des Lee Concert Hall for June 19th. And then back to the Kemper Art Museum, June 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the Kemper Art Museum? Where is that
It is located on Skinker. Well, it's on the corner of the Washington University campus, their Forsyth campus. So,
okay.
and it's the museum that exists like on the intersection of Forsyth and Skinker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now I know.
The 14th year. When you started this, did you think like, wow?
It's so interesting. Yeah, I don't know what I thought when we started it, but I'm so proud of where we are, and
Yes, you should be.
and just being able to weather the the storm that was the pandemic and exist and come out with just renewed creative energy, which I feel all the way through the organization. So that certainly helps me program and want to just keep going, and it's very exciting. Next year is our 15th anniversary. We've already got excellent things planned, and if I might be able to say that we've gotten a very exciting donor who is double matching all of our fundraising
Wow.
for next
amazing.
year.
Big deal.
And
Wonderful.
so
That's
it
huge.
really
Wow.
means it's a unique opportunity to help our organization take the next step to the next level. Anyone who donates now, it's tripling their gift.
Wow.
So-
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
great.
amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You
Yes.
deserve it.
Thanks.
So I'm going to throw a couple curves to you guys.
Okay.
I'm sure you'll hit them out of the park, though, because you're seasoned professionals. What are you going to be doing after this? What are the plans? Is it opera theater? Because they're in season right now.
They're in season. My husband worked with them, so he's fully booked with them.
Okay.
I will be actually traveling to Europe.
Oh,
So I will finish the concert. I have a concert previous this one with the Missouri Chamber Festival. Then I will have this beautiful performance of Brahms songs with Nina. And then I have another performance at the Sheldon, Songs of Democracy with the St. Louis Women's Chorale. And then I'll be leaving to Europe for 2 months. I'll be in Italy to do a couple of master classes and concerts between Milano and Pavia, and then I'll be enjoying my family because my parents are still there. One of my brother lives in Brazil. He will join us,
okay.
and so
Wow.
they will have the time to spend some time with their grandkid and
Okay.
all together. Yeah.
So here we go. Here's the curveball.
Mhm.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Really?
And Nina's going to have a little time to think about this. What's the funniest moment you've experienced in a performance?
Oh my. Okay. The funniest moment. So it was funny at the end. If I think about it, that was my very first opera. As I was telling you, it was Anne Boleyn in Manchester. It was opening night, and after my first scene, I had to run from stage left to stage right, and I had like maybe 1 minute,
Wow.
and they left a stair in the
Ooh.
yes, behind the curtains, and it was completely dark, and I didn't see it. I fell and I tripped on the stairs. I hurt myself, but I had to still come out on
Show
stage.
goes on.
So now that I think about it, it was hilarious. It was my very first time on stage, and I was just freaking out. I was hurt, but then I walked on stage and I had fun, and at the end we were all laughing about it.
Wow.
I could have sued that, but at the end I laughed about it.
Nina.
Well, I did have some time to think. I was doing a performance of the Bartok Sonata for 2 pianos and percussion. It was in Boston, and the last movement of that piece is, just a little bit crazy, and it has a big fugue section, and I was right at the last few pages, and my piano bench broke. So it's an artist bench, the kind that you screw, you
Roll up
turn
on
it,
it, yeah.
roll up, and that metal rod that's in there fell to the floor, and the whole bench dropped, and it was just, I was playing, and I ended up having to squat. Like I had to push myself up with my left foot, and I had my right foot still on the pedal, and I played the end of the piece basically like Josie and the Pussycats style.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
which,
Wow.
so
Wow.
that's probably my,
You got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
yeah, I'm not sure
Mhm.
people noticed it. I mean, I
I thought it was part of the.
yeah, I mean, they noticed that the thing dropped, but
Mhm.
just the fact that I was having to prop myself up, because you can't,
Wow.
I was underneath
Right.
Wow.
Oh,
This is
wow.
crazy.
at that point. So yes.
That'd be a
was
fun book,
challenging.
talking to
Yes.
Oh,
musicians.
yeah.
What's your
Oh,
funniest moment?
Yes, more than a book, a collection.
Collection. I love
I've had performances. There was one, I won't say it was locally, but it was very, very complicated piece for 2 ensembles, and it was being conducted, and the space that we did the concert in was a very big challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was super intricately woven together piece, and no one could hear each other. So in this
Ooh.
space, it was just sort of like
Mm.
everything sounded like a blur. And one by one, this is my memory of what happened during the performance, but one by one, everyone dropped out because nobody knew where we were.
Right.
And I also did not know where I was, but I said to myself, I'm not stopping. I
Mhm.
don't care. I'm not stopping.
Good.
Like I'm just
Amazing. Good.
playing,
Good for
I just-
you.
Mm-hmm.
played stuff. And then I do think we got on at some point, but
Mm-hmm.
Letter
that was-
letter G.
Yeah.
That's really critical for chamber music
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
visually seeing your fellow performers and being able to hear.
Mhm.
Those are the critical factors when you're
Yes.
playing a small ensemble.
Wow.
It's true.
My gosh.
Wow. That's crazy.
Well, the Missouri Chamber Music Festival.
Can I ask Benedetta something? real quick?
Absolutely, Mark.
So I understood when she came in, she was talking about singing the national anthem for the St. Louis City SC.
Yes.
And that didn't happen.
No.
Yeah.
Why didn't that happen?
I had another commitment, so I was reached out actually from the Italian community that they were in contact with them to do that, and they asked me, and unfortunately, I was already booked on that date, so it didn't happen.
So how do we get her back so that she can sing?
I would
that?
love to.
St. Louis
go
City
there.
SC.
Yeah.
As you listen to this, you need to know that Benedetta is ready to sing
She's
the
ready to come
national
back.
anthem
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
for one of the home games here.
She'll work her schedule around you.
Absolutely,
I
yes.
know.
And I love soccer. I mean, I'm Italian. My kid is 4 years old and is playing soccer. So
Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
here's some trivia: is
Okay.
that there is also a Benedetta Orsi who
absolutely.
is a footballer in Italy.
You
No.
are absolutely
Really?
right.
Yes.
Stop
Yes.
this.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did my homework.
Yes, you did it very well.
Atlanta,
It is
Atlanta.
totally true. Yeah,
No,
she's
that's not
pretty
true.
famous as well.
You're
Yeah,
making this
Not to be
up.
confused with our Benedetta.
there's a musician and a soccer player.
That's right.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's
Good
crazy.
job.
Isn't it?
I'm
That
impressed.
that is so random.
It is.
It is.
Well, and there is a Mark Langston baseball pitcher.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
it's true.
Yes.
He played what, California Angels?
Yes, I tried to
Mhm.
interview him once.
Oh,
He thought I was kidding.
Oh, no
Yeah.
way.
He said, "Call me back in an hour and we'll do the interview." And he never answered the phone.
Oh, no.
You know, I know.
You thought you were you're a
He
hack.
thought I was a hack. I know. Well, just one other caveat to it. My general manager at the radio station, his name was Dick Williams, and
Oh.
he had a manager named Dick Williams.
Right,
too.
Oakland A's.
So there was just too many things that
Yeah.
were just,
Right.
and he really thought I was nuts then,
Uh.
and he hated Dick Williams. So he's like, "Ah,
So there you go.
he put you up to this, I'm sure." So my son Michael, though, can I just thank him so much? He worked in the broadcast booth at the St. Louis Cardinals, and he had a chance because Mark Langston was the booth announcer for the A's.
Mhm.
So he got to meet him,
Oh,
Oh.
and he told him the story. And then he got a picture of him,
oh,
and then he signed a ball for me.
oh. You should have
there's
signed
a-
one for him.
There's my whole Mark Langston story. That's my
That's your moment of fame.
my brush with greatness.
Yes. Well, you can get a brush with greatness if you check on to the mochambermusic.org and check into their 14th season, Game Changers in the Music of Our Surroundings, June 6th through June 21st. You don't want to miss this. These concerts will take place at the Mildred Lane Kemper Art Museum,
Mhm.
the Desley Concert Hall, and the First Congregational Church of Webster Groves. You can get a festival pass. The 14th season, folks, this is the stuff we want to be able to support in our community. And Nina and Benedetta, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank
It was
you,
a
yes.
pleasure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to go.
You should.
You should- yes.
Beautiful voice.
You want to do jokes? Well, Mark, that was unbelievable.
That's a good way to put it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Great stuff going on
Yeah.
there at the Missouri Chamber Music Festival,
Sure.
and it was
Beautiful voice.
good to hear more from Nina about the festival, and having Benedetta here to talk to her and listen to her voice, and
Mhm.
know really that bolognese is really ragu.
Right. Sounds like an Italian dish.
Yes. So is this the day of ragu? Because I know
No.
Mark always introduced these. I call it the day of the days. Today is the day of.
There's a couple of weird ones today. Today is kind of weird. I don't know. It's a really strange day. So it's the end of the world day.
What?
Reminds us of how fake apocalypse warning, I can't even say the word, distresses people around the world. So it's like how people say it's the end of the world. So it's just like, no, I need a patch for that day. Eat more fruits and vegetables day.
That's every day.
There's a good one for
That's
you.
every day.
Is it
Yeah, it should be
International Tea Day?
like TEA or TEE, like golf tea or
No, TEA.
Oh, TEA.
International Tea Day. And we're
Okay.
drinking iced coffee this morning.
That's correct.
National Memo Day. Did you get the memo?
I did not.
National Strawberries and Cream Day.
Ooh, yeah, because
Yeah.
strawberries are still kind of in season. They're kind of getting to the end, though.
I like them.
Yeah,
I like them a lot.
those ones we got
Yeah.
from Eckert's, those were superb.
Yes. Do you like to go to Eckert's? You can talk. You don't have to, you don't have to be like, I know.
I do. I just went with my son.
Did you go to Eckert's?
Yeah, we went there on Sunday and we collected so many strawberries and I did a strawberry pie.
Wow.
With,
Yes.
with
Oh.
cream, la crema.
Oh, yes.
Like in Bohème.
Yeah. It's National Waiter and Waitress Day.
Okay, National Server Day.
I'm not laughing at that. National Talk Like Yoda Day.
I watched Star Wars last night.
No, you did not.
I sense I sense something going
I
on
know.
in the force.
I know it. So this is how weird America is. The Congress has made all these days for
Now
us.
they have to do something.
I know. Let's see. National Maritime Day. Bitcoin Pizza Day. I don't know how many
Bitcoin
Bitcoins
pizza.
could you pay for a pizza. How many Bitcoins does it take to pay for a pizza?
Well, it must be a big pizza if you're going to pay 1 Bitcoin. For
Oh,
that.
here, buy a musical instrument day
Oh,
today.
yeah.
It's time to go out and buy a new piano, Nina.
Or clarinet.
Get
Or
right on that.
clarinet. Yeah, something like that. Canadian Immigrants Day. If you're from Canada, A. I know. Isn't that right? Let's see if there's anything else. National Boss Baby Day.
What?
The sky's the limit for boss babies.
What's
Let's
that?
celebrate all these amazing women today. So I guess, babes. I'm sorry, not baby, babes.
Boss
Oh,
babes.
Boss babes.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
can't even read right. I know. That was the last
That's
thing I expected was
That's a
call a
weird
woman
one.
a babe. It's not going to go over well. I wouldn't have even told you all right. National Solitaire Day. Do you ever play solitaire?
I do on the computer.
Yeah.
I do.
Really? Do you win?
Sometimes.
Sometimes with the cards, yeah.
Do
Right.
you cheat?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
I think it's easy to cheat on that. How about Sherlock Holmes Day? And I think that's all. I'm going to end on that one. That there's more. If you can
Okay.
believe that there's more.
Well, I
Our
have.
Congress is hard at work.
Yeah, they have to have something. In 2015, a man named Joel Berger
Mhm.
married a woman named Ashley King, and Burger King, the company, paid for the whole wedding.
Wow. Ooh.
And Yoda says always give 100% at work. Monday, 11%, Tuesday, 24%, Wednesday, 40%, Thursday, 23%, and Friday, 2%.
Oh God, what is wrong
I
with
love
you?
this.
I
That's
know.
great.
Don't let
Remember when people had diaries and got mad when someone read them?
Mm-hmm.
Now they put everything online and get mad when people don't. So the teacher's talking to a student. Teacher says, "Give me a sentence, Charlie, which includes the words defense, defeat, detail." Charlie says, "When a horse jumps over defense, defeat go first and then detail." Gracious.
Please stop.
All right, here's
Stop
another
him.
one.
Somebody stop him. If you're close to him. Stop
Today,
him.
I learned that ostriches often walk around and then forget where they're going.
Mm.
Today, I also learned that my spirit animal may be an ostrich.
I do that when I walk into the kitchen. Forgot why I went to the kitchen.
Yeah, I usually go back to where I was and I'll, okay, why was I going
Is
there?
that right?
Yeah.
Does it help?
No.
Okay.
A wife got so mad at her husband that she packed his bags and told him to get out. As he walked to the door, she yelled, "I hope you die a long, slow, and painful death."
Ooh.
He turned around and said, "So you want me to stay?"
Oh my. Wow. This is a tough room today.
Oh.
The fact that jellyfish have survived for more than 500 million years despite having no brains gives hope to many people. And lastly,
There's some that you still have more.
if you see me talking to myself, just move along. I'm self-employed. We're having a staff meeting.
Man. Is that it? Thank you. Goodness.
We have to laugh.
I know.
It's great
All
for the
right.
system,
Mhm.
great for the soul.
Yes. Nothing.
You cry or laughing,
Mhm.
or you can cry laughing or laugh crying.
All right. Or something similar to
That's
that.
correct. Well, that's all for this hour. We thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, you can listen to additional shows at stlintune.com. Consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more listeners and continue to grow. Thanks to Bob Berthasell for our theme music and co-host Mark Langston. And we thank you for being a part of our community of curious minds. St. Louis in Tune is a production of Motif Media Group and the U.S. Radio Network. Remember to keep seeking, keep learning. Walk worthy and let your light shine. For St. Louis in Tune, I'm Arnold Stricker.